Hello. Hello, 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 hello. So, all right. So we're gonna. I know I've been kind of doing a lot of lives about other stuff, but I actually kind of wanted to do a live really quick to answer some questions. A question that I got. So here's the thing. I get asked a lot why I choose to practice what I practice, right? So why do I choose to practice like my African and my indigenous practices? I do have a lot of European in me, which means that I have a lot of Catholic in me. And although I don't subscribe to the Catholic beliefs, to all the Catholic beliefs, I do have a lot of faith in the saints and in the archangels. I do work with them really deeply. But I also have a lot of faith in the losses and the mysteries. And what?
And Christ.
And Christ. Yeah, I was going to say Christ. I love him. He's my dude. But the reason why I choose to practice magic, why I choose to practice the practice of my African and my indigenous ancestors, first of all, I was blessed enough to actually have live ancestors that practice this practice. I was blessed enough. I still have my great-grandmother who practiced this practice. I still have my grandfather that practices this practice. I still have my mom and dad that practice this practice. So for me, and honestly, nobody in my generation besides myself practices this practice. My brother used to, but he kind of got away from it because he married an evangelical girl, which I love her, but the laws are the law. But yeah, so the reason why I practice this practice, why I love this practice, what I love about African and indigenous practices is that they respect spirit. They respect all spirits of light, right? They respect nature. They love nature. They respect and honor the elements. They respect and honor the ancestors. In the African and the indigenous practices, as opposed to the Catholic, because I have both. I have all three. My grandmother was very, very Catholic. My grandfather was very spiritual. My grandfather was a very spiritual person, is a very spiritual person still. But they were kind of from different worlds. My grandmother came from a very Catholic family. She's Spaniard and Portuguese. So she came from a very, very Catholic family. Very Catholic. So when she met my grandfather, and my grandfather is Haitian and has a lot of different Africans in him, because my grandfather is, on one side is like Egyptian, Nigerian, New Guinean, and from Benin. So he's really mixed with the African in him. And then he also has Haitian. So they came from two very different worlds. Like, one of these days, I'm going to pull out their wedding picture, and it looks like a black and white cookie. And when I say that, I don't mean to be racist. I'm saying that because literally my grandfather, this was my grandma, and this was my grandpa. But I love them. So for me, it's an honor to have both, okay? And with the fact that they both come from two different racial backgrounds, also comes the fact that they come with two different belief systems, right? So my grandfather is very much nature-based. He's very much like, I'm going to solve my problem with magic. Don't F with me. He's very much like, I'm gonna solve you. Don't worry, I'm gonna handle you with magic. My grandmother is much more like, I'm gonna handle you with prayer. I'm just gonna pray for you, and I'm gonna hope that you're okay. But as a fire sign, and my grandfather and I are both Scorpios. So I'm a Sagittarius sun and a Scorpio moon. So that means that I'm fire, sun, and then my moon sign is water. My grandfather is water. Okay, so he's actually Scorpio sun, and then he's also, I think, Pisces moon, and he's water. So he's like petty. Okay, so he's like, no, he's not that petty. He's really spiritual, but he's just like, look, I'm gonna handle you. I'm gonna handle you with magic. Don't worry about it. Quietly. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. Don't worry about it. So what I love about the African and indigenous practices is that there is action, okay? There's an action that you can take to handle a situation. In the Christianity sector, in the Catholic sector, we're told, in my grandmother's strong suit, we're told, just pray about it. You're gonna be fine. Just pray about it. You don't really feel empowered because you feel like, okay, I'm just gonna pray about it and I'm gonna wait till God answers. But in the African and indigenous spiritual practices, my grandfather's like, okay, I'm gonna pray about it, but I'm also gonna do something about it. So don't mess with me. So that's what I love about it. I love action. So I'm always someone of the philosophy that you can't fix a problem by just talking about it. Yes, talking about it goes a long way, but there's a lot of issues, especially in the mundane world, that you need to take some action on. That you have to take action on. If somebody is threatening your livelihood, right, at work because they don't know how to shut up and mind their business, well, we're gonna shut them up. Spiritually. Through magic. If somebody's sending you bad vibes, right? If somebody's constantly sending you bad vibes and hexes and stuff, right? You want to do something about that. You can pray about it, but I'm going to do something about it. And we're going to send that back. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. If your boss is a pain in the you-know-what, let's sweeten that boss up. Let's make that boss our best friend. That's what magic is for. So, I know that there's a lot of witches that are like, Priestess May, the threefold rule. You're not supposed to. First of all, in voodoo, we don't believe in the threefold rule. I took up that rule upon myself because, I have morals. Exactly. And if something happens to them, you ain't going to jail because you can't prove it. You can't prove magic. So yes. This is why I love this practice. I love this practice because it does give you spiritual evolution, right? So there's the main point. The main point of it is to give you spiritual evolution. It's to empower you. It's to help you elevate, right? It's for protection, for love, for attracting the money you need. It's to enact positive change in your life, right? That is the core of this practice. Spiritual elevation is part of it. Hopefully becoming a Loa. If you're a priestess and you're good at it, then maybe one day you'll become a Loa. Yes. My grandfather's like, I'm already a Loa. I'm good. He's convinced that he's already a Loa. Just kidding. No, he's serious. I'm like, okay. But for example, like I was just discussing Marie Laveau. She set out to help people. She wasn't sure if she was going to become a Loa, but now she has become a Loa herself. Now she has become a Loa. And for those of you who don't know what a Loa is a elevated spirit guide. Okay, so a Loa is an elevated spirit guide. Different loas have different levels of elevation. So some loas, you know, are still petty. Some loas can still, you know, will still take revenge on people. Like if somebody messes with me, my grandfather's loa is like, do you want me to burn him? Do you want me to burn him? Do you So I love him. He's so funny. But this is a practice that is handed down from person to person. So the 21 divisions, it has a lot of influence of voodoo. It has influence of indigenous practices, Indian, you know, from the Taino of the Arawak tribe. It has a lot of influence from Catholicism. So it's a mixture of them. Okay, it's a mixture of the three. Because of the peoples in Dominican Republic, there is no book for the 21 divisions. I have asked my spirit guides if I'm allowed to write a book. They're telling me, well, think about it, sweetheart, or think about it. So it's important. It's a practice. It's not, that's why there's no book to voodoo. Voodoo, there's a lot of books that people write about voodoo. There's a lot of books that, you know, people write and they put in their own recipes, but there's no book about voodoo. You have to practice this practice. You have to practice 21 divisions. You have to practice voodoo. You have to practice, you know, Santeria or any of these traditions. You have to practice them in order to feel them, in order to embody them. If you come from a broken lineage, you can do what is called being adopted by another lineage. It's a hands-on practice. You can be adopted by another lineage if you go to someone who has a lineage and you and they ask their spirit guides if you are able to join their lineage, and through priesthood, then you can be kind of initiated in that lineage and learn the way of that lineage. Or you can get initiated and then wait for your ancestors to teach you the way that they practiced, and they'll teach you through dreams, through visions. Yeah, and it's true. The African traditional practices are not all love and light. It is about fairness. It is about divine justice. Okay, so even Archangel Michael is love and light and everything nice, but when he has to punish somebody, he's gonna do it. And we already know he's an ET, so he's gonna do it if he wants to. So there's a lot of stuff that happens. I love the action part of this practice. I love that African traditional practices, indigenous traditional practices, they have a practice aspect. It's a hand-on thing. If you are not hands-on, you do not get what you're supposed to get, you know? Yes, washing of the head can help you develop spiritually and get closer to the Loa. But also, the bigger your mission is here on earth, meaning the more amount of people you're supposed to impact, the more connected you are to those loases, because the loases will share more with those who have bigger missions, who are meant to help larger amounts of people. Okay? And one thing I love about this practice too, that a lot of people can't handle, is the death of your ego. You have to really let go of your ego. And you have to really be ready to be tested over and over and over again, and to have your faith tested, to have your patience tested, to have your trust in them tested, because these are like having friends. The Loases are my best friends that I respect the most in the entire world, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. Okay? Something that a lot of people just don't get. Okay? A lot of people don't understand that dedication. Okay? The head washes, I don't recommend the same head wash to everybody, because every person is technically supposed to get a different type of head wash. So I would suggest, if you want a specific head wash recommended to you, you can book a consultation and we can talk about that. And I can ask spirit guides what they suggest would be best for your head wash, for your own individual, because every single person is individual. That's what I love about this practice too. Every single person is an individual. Every single person not everybody has the same exact result or the same exact experience. It's an individual thing. It's individual. What you put into it, you get in return. They test my faith all the time. All the time they test my faith. They're like, do you believe in me? Do you believe in me? Or do you believe in me? And because, as humans, we do need our faith tested sometimes. Because if everything was rainbows and butterflies, you would never grow. We would never grow, and that's what I love about the Loa. The Loa is there to wait for you. When you fall down, they're there to help you get up, right? So when they're kind of like that parent that lets you ride the bike, and if you fall down, then they help you kind of patch up your scratched knee. But a lot of people expect the Loa to ride the bike for you and to make sure that you don't fall off the bike. Yes, that is a head wash. So if your spirits are giving you that head wash, then do that head wash. Your spirits can come in your dreams and give you head washes. Your spirits can come in your dreams and give you bath recipes. All of the spells that I do, they're all given to me by different spirits that I work with. So, but that's the thing. You have to build a relationship with these spirits. You have to build a relationship. And it's not just like, okay, I got initiated, or okay, I set up an altar. Okay, now give me everything. That's not how it works. You have to put the work in. You have to put the work from a place of love, from a place of genuine authenticity. They know who you are. Okay? They see your heart. They know who you are. They rather you be honest about who you are than try to put on a front for them when they already know who you are. That's what I love about this as well. It's like you're not expected to be a perfect person. And in Catholicism, as much as I love the saints, the religion of Catholicism, not necessarily the saints and Christ, but the religion expects you to be a perfect person. And they expect you to not have any flaws. And if you do have flaws, they shame you about them. And that's just not the way that I wanted to live my life. And my grandmother, as much as I love her, her Catholic self her religion has made her very fear-based. This tradition doesn't cause me fear. For me, it causes empowerment. It causes a feeling of having somebody to lean back on when I need it. And I still lean back on Christ. I still lean back on Christ. I still love Christ. I still worship Jesus. I still, because I grew up with that. I grew up with doing all my prayers, all my Catholic prayers.
But Jesus isn't Catholic.
Jesus isn't Catholic. Jesus is not the religion. Jesus was a leader, and all his stuff was taken and converted into whatever they wanted it to be. But, I grew up with the Catholic prayers, and I grew up with the Spirit. So for me, when I grew up in Dominican Republic. So when I came here when I was around 10 years old, I came to the States. I didn't understand that other people didn't practice like this practice. Like, I didn't understand that other people didn't know that magic was real. Like, I didn't understand that other people didn't know that, like, you could talk to spirits. Like, in the American culture, because I was born here, but I was raised in Dominican Republic for, like, the first 10 years of my life. So when I moved here, I was like, wait, people don't know that, like, magic is real. People don't know that, like, you can, you know, have spiritual attachments and, like, remove spirits and, like, remove these things from people. Like, people don't know about this stuff. Like, what? Like, all they believe in is just Jesus by itself. That's it. Like, the Christianity we have now, the Catholicism we have now is so watered down. I was like, why are these people so weird? No, I really was confused. I was like, to me, I thought every family had, like, I mean, I knew every single family didn't have, like, a family member that, like, was possessed by spirit. I knew that. But because I had grown up seeing my backyard filled with hundreds of people who knew about the mysteries and who went to get medicinal help and, like, spiritual help from my grandfather and his spirits, I thought that everybody kind of already knew that the process of, like, possession by spirits of light, like, was a thing. Like, I thought everybody knew that. Okay? So I was like,
I mean, it's in the Bible, transfiguration.
So I was confused when I got to the United States. When I came back to the U.S. at, like, 10 years old, because when my mom had moved back to DR for, like, 10 years after she had me here, so I was confused as to why we didn't believe in magic in the U.S. and why people of my own color and people of my own, you know, my African people and people of, like, Dominican descent and all that kind of stuff didn't know about this stuff. Like, that other, you know, I went to school with a lot of, like, Puerto Ricans and South Americans and, like, Dominicans and people of color, and they didn't know that magic was real. They didn't. So to me, it was a completely different world. So me coming from Dominican Republic, where for 10 years all I knew was magic and spiritual removals and you know, spiritual possession and all these things, and then to come to the U.S. where I was now in a school where none of these kids had any idea about that, and I was like, what? I was confused, guys. I was confused. But I feel like it's necessary. I feel like the culture is watered down when these things are not shared. Someone asked about how the tradition's becoming more inaccessible to descendants because of high cost of initiation. So first of all, in the 21 divisions, initiation is done by what's called a sacrificial price. Okay, so that means that every person has what is called, like, a karma price. Now, if the priest or priestess that you are getting initiated by decides to add an additional price tag to that, that's their choice. I only do, my spirits only do the sacrifice that they request, which is what the spirit requests, because that sacrifice price, part of that is taken and is given to the poor, and it's supposed to be given to the poor. I don't know what other practices do. There's a lot of other practices that have different pricing structures and things like that, you know, which are supposed to be donations, but you know, this is a lot of work. I know in my tradition, initiation can be anywhere between 21 days to 40 days straight, which is a lot of work, and can also be you would have to get refreshed, like, every year. You have to get refreshed every year. So I think that I can't really give an opinion on that because I can only speak for myself. I mean, my sacrifice was $18,000, and I come from a lineage, so my sacrifice was that's what the spirits asked of me to sacrifice. So my wife's sacrifice was around 9,000 or something like that.
I pay it off to work.
It's an energetic exchange. So now in the past, apprentices, instead of paying what apprentices used to do, what initiated people used to do was they would apprentice and they would work for free. In reality, what they would be doing is the exchange. So one of my assistants is an initiate of the spirit of my grandfather, and she pays part of it off through certain through work, but the other stuff she had to pay as well. So there has to be an energetic exchange. So you either exchange your time or you exchange money. So that is the process of paying for that sacrifice. But you can't sell a spirit. Okay? Nobody can sell you a spirit or an orisha. You have to already have that spirit with you. And what you're giving up is an energetic exchange. What you're giving up is an energetic exchange for both time, for a donation, for donation to the community, the time of the priest or the time of the spirit in the priest's head, that process. Because nowadays time is money. In the past, my great grandmother, she used to get paid with chickens and with vegetables. People would bring her vegetables and chickens and what? Clothing and food. That's how my great grandmother used to receive payment for her services. But that we don't live in that world anymore. Unfortunately, we don't live in that world. So to me, I don't think some pricing is very fair. But every single tradition and every single priest or priestess has a different setup for how they do their pricing. And my pricing, I've always told people, is based on what my spirit guides ask of me. Based on how much energy they know will take to do some sort of to do whatever ceremony or ritual that I have to perform or that they have to perform in my body. So it all depends.
Hello, Bossy Josie. She said hello to me.
I feel like, but for me, it was, what I do was worth it for me because it was part of what I do is my purpose. So, we make sacrifices for other things, right? We make sacrifices when we join a regular church. They request a Catholic church or a Christian church. They request either 10% of your salary for the year. Or they request for you to have a certain commitment every single month that you give, that you sacrifice time to the church, that you donate something to the church. So every single type of practice has that sort of energy exchange. So let me make something clear. In the 21 divisions, initiation is not done by me. Initiation is done by the spirit possessing my head. So when if you are chosen, because you can't just decide I want to get initiated by that person. If you are chosen by my spirit to be initiated, it would be my spirit that would be your godparent, not me. I would be your, basically, the high priestess, or basically I would be your mambo. I would be your high priestess, or I would be your sister in the spiritual realm. But I would not be your godparent. That the whole godparent thing is more of a Ifa thing. I would be a mentor, but I wouldn't be your godparent. Okay? So in the 21 divisions, you have to do a lot of work, because the person who initiates you is not, the body, let's separate the body, like my body, it may be doing the work, but the spirit is actually the one initiating you. So that spirit is the one that's gonna teach you. That spirit will either come to you in dreams or talk to you telepathically, or possess to teach you things. Okay, so I've had people who've gotten initiated by other people, and in the 21 divisions, and then they've come to me and they'd be like, I'm getting possessed and the spirits are moving stuff around in my house and I don't really know, the misterios, the loases are possessing them. And they're moving stuff around and they're moving the altar around and they're fixing the altar the way they want it. And then the girl comes back, right? The soul of the girl comes back. And and then she's like, and everything is moved and I have no idea what they did. So we in the 21 divisions, we are vessels. So we share, because they don't have a physical body here to work, we share our body with the spirit of light or with the archangel to do the work. So we are vessels. Whereas in other practices, the spirits they work with are more, they speak to them more telepathically, clairvoyantly, depending on, some other practices do mount as well, which is what the possession is called. But it depends. The energy, when someone is mounting, the energy in the room shifts. Everybody kind of feels a little bit high or like they're gonna cry. There's just a level of unconditional love when someone is mounted. So it's an experience. But it's not supposed to be a show. Okay? It's not supposed to be about showing off and making making a show out of it, because then the spirits will bust your butt. Okay? But that's really why I love this practice. It's hands-on. You have to do the work. I'm a worker, so I like to put my love and my dedication into something and then watching it grow. If you are not a worker, I wouldn't suggest this type of practice to you. I would suggest just going maybe to the Catholic Church or the Christian church and just giving your donation and praying, and that's it. So first of all, it takes a while after initiation to fully mount, because mounting takes a lot of energy. Second of all, they sometimes let you know that they're gonna mount, and sometimes it's a surprise. If you fight it off, they will surprise you, and they will be like, okay. So I often wear a scarf because my crown is open, my crown is crowned, and it helps to limit how much energy I absorb. Mounting can be a little scary for newbies. a lot of the time when you mount for the first time, you kind of go on yourself. You can go on yourself from your mouth and from other places. So, yeah. So for some people, it can be a little scary. So yeah, you know, as an apprentice, there was a lot of stuff I used to have to clean up after people.
I'm sorry.
Mount es cuando se te monta. Sí, cuando se te monta el espíritu. Cuando se te monta el misterio. So, you do usually need to have the highest level of initiation to do a full mounting. You can do channeling. A lot of people channel without initiation, but usually you do need a full, or they will tell you need to be initiated to reinforce your head. Jesus was initiated. That's why he was able to communicate with many prophets before him. In my tradition, we believe that sleep paralysis is a form of demonic attack, or your soul is not fully ready to return from the astral realm. So you kind of wake up, but you're kind of stuck there, okay? Because when we dream, our soul kind of detaches from our body a little bit, and we astral travel. So a lot of the times when you have sleep paralysis, the scientific term for it is because scientifically they explain it as you don't sleep well, or you have bad sleeping patterns or whatever. However, the spiritual explanation for it is that there is usually some sort of psychic attack, or some sort of incubus succubus attack, which is kind of attacking you while you're trying to come back. Because when you dream, we go into the fourth dimension, which is the astral realm, where there are both positive and negative beings. So if you're having a lot of those sleep paralysis, I would suggest praying before bed. Praying the Archangel Michael prayer, praying the tube of light prayer around yourself, praying to Jesus, praying the 91st Psalm or the 23rd Psalm. Yes, so that will help that go away. You may need some sort of cleansing, depending. I can't really answer certain questions because you need a consultation, so I can speak to your spirit guide, so that I can know what it is that's happening or reading. Yeah, so when you have spiritual attacks, you can feel paralyzed when you your mind is awake and you can hear, and maybe you can kind of see everything that's going on, but your body can't move, and then you start to panic. Okay, a lot of the times those are spiritual attacks. Yeah, I have seen mambos and bocos get initiated into palo afterwards. Depends on what type of mambo and boco they are. There are mambos and bocos that are of dark magic, so they do get initiated in palo as well. But there's also different types of palo. There's different types of 21 divisions. There's different types of... There's white and dark magic in all of these practices.
But you can't do both.
Someone asked me what I think of the random hoodoo spells on the internet. I mean, hoodoo spells are very useful. Hoodoo is basically like magic. It's basically like Wiccan magic, and more about just intent in your own magic. It's elemental. I don't think that all hoodoo spells on the internet are useful, but if you feel drawn to using a particular hoodoo spell, then I would suggest going ahead and doing it. If you feel drawn, if your intuition tells you that it's okay to use it, if your spirit guides are telling you that it's okay to use it, then you can go ahead and do that. But Hoodoo is the magical aspect of voodoo. Okay, so when we talk about Vodun or the 21 divisions of the mysteries, you're talking about a mixture of spirit and magic. Okay, when you're talking about hoodoo or like certain magical practices, witchcraft, you're talking about just magic by itself, the elemental aspect. So, and not really so much necessarily always involved with spirit. Like, you should always ask your spirit guides before doing any work.
A lot of people use their free will alone with their magic.
So there's a difference between a muerto, which is a dead person, and and an enlightened being like a mystery and a loa. So when you hear the term spirit guide, that is what a loa and a mystery is. So a spirit guide, a loa and a mystery are elevated beings. So that means that they've already gone through their trials, they've already learned their lessons on earth, they've already elevated, they've mastered some level of elevations that are way higher than us. Now, muertos are just people who die and who are in the cemetery, okay? And they are, like people from the cemetery that can be their spirit, is not necessarily yet elevated. It may be either earthbound or it may be very close to earth at this moment. It may be an intranquil spirit. It may be, they may have unfinished business, so they're stuck on earth. And a lot of the times, a lot of practices will initiate and attach a spirit like that, okay, to a person who is initiated to work for you, okay?
That's not what we do.
That's not what we do. We work only with spirits that are elevated, such as loases and mysteries and angels. That's what we work with in my practice, and saints. But other practices have the practice of initiating you. If you don't have a spiritual gift, they will usually give you a spirit that will work for you and do the work for you. Okay, that a spirit that they buy at the cemetery for a certain amount of time, those kinds of things. So that's a different thing. It's a different thing. And then you have people who are mounted by the Orisha. Yeah, they need cleansing by professional. Yeah, you can, if you don't know what you're doing with magic, you can mess some things up. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't feel empowered to do some things for yourself. But understand that when you are doing magic on another person, you can mess things up really badly. So know what you're doing before you do it. Yes, I would not take the route of buying souls. They will mess up your life. That's in my opinion. Buying souls that's the lazy way. That's the frowned upon way, to be honest with you. But I'm just saying. I'm not judging anybody who does that, but it's not my business. Or they say, maybe don't worry about it, sweetheart.
Like so, like that? Is that your business?
No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Well, a lot of people buy spirits because they don't have their own actual power, and they want to be special so badly. They want to be chosen so badly that they just pay somebody to buy a spirit for them to kind of give them the power. And they enslave a spirit or they enslave a soul to that person for a certain period of time.
And that spirit can drive you crazy because you don't know who you picked up.
And then you don't really know what you picked up sometimes. Yes. When you are a light worker, you can be challenged by dark entities.
You will be.
You will be challenged by dark entities. You will be challenged by dark entities when you are a light worker. Yep. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. But if you have the proper protection in place, and if you are informed, and if you have a good mentor, then you know, then you can you know how to identify it, and you know how to get rid of these things. Get it, Lily. She's never heard of buying a spirit. That's because that is a deep secret of these practices. I just shared a deep secret with you guys. Now I might go missing. Just kidding. God forbid. Like I haven't already. Like I haven't already shared too much. You know, you usually know if you're a light worker, you can feel it. But if you need confirmation, I would suggest getting a reading from someone you trust.
The worst thing is a lot of people don't even buy the spirit.
I play too much. Love White Light said I play too much. Huh?
I said a lot of people make the mistake of not even having the decency to be knowledgeable that you have to buy the spirit, and they just take. And then they wonder why they're crazy.
A lot of people buy. A lot of people just steal spirits
just take
from the graveyard and don't even pay for them, and then they wonder why they're being driven crazy by them. Guys, there's a lot of stuff in the spiritual realm. Like I'm telling you, when you dip your feet into just the love and light aspect of the spiritual realm, it's like, okay, you have this cup, right? This cup has coffee in it, but it might have caramel drizzle in it. It does have caramel drizzle in it. It might have almond milk in it, which it does. So you have this big cup, right? The love and light aspect of spirituality is this big. From here down. All of this stuff here.
You can't have light without the darkness.
It's just like, this is just the surface, okay? Like, all this stuff here is all the stuff that nobody wants to talk about, that nobody talks about, that everybody knows but nobody talks about, okay?
We talk about it.
There is positive and a negative in the spiritual realm for a reason.
You can't have one without
You can't have one without the other, okay? You can live in a vibration that allows you to be more, let's say 90% positive and 10% negative. But you can't have one without the other. You can't have the negative. You can't have the positive without the negative. Because the universe has to find balance.
Balance is not 50-50.
They don't exist with one another. Light does not exist without darkness. Darkness does not exist without light. So there's a lot of stuff in the spiritual realm that there's a lot of the stuff you see on my Instagram is the surface. It's just the surface of what I do. Okay, I do exorcisms. I exorcise houses. I remove spirits from houses. I remove spirits from people. My spirits do demonic detachments. We do house blessings. We do baptisms, cleansings,
preparations.
So there's a lot of stuff that is much deeper than just the love and light. Okay? The love and light aspect of spirituality. Because a lot of people, there is a space for the love and light people. Okay? Because there are some people that don't want to look at the darkness, and they are terribly, terribly, terribly scared of looking at the truth. So they will always just be told what they want to hear, and it will always just be like love and light and everything nice and cherries on top. And then, the monsters under the bed are not real. So there are certain people that need that. But those people who really truly want to heal, if you really truly want to heal your traumas, if you really truly want to learn magic, if you really truly want to get involved in the spiritual realm, you have to be aware that it's much deeper than this. Okay? Much deeper than this. I have not visited shrines in Africa. I don't really feel called to need to. I do feel called to going to the land of my ancestors. I do feel called to go into Egypt because I do have a lot of Egyptian in me and a lot of New Guinean and Nigeria. I would like to go to a shrine one of these days. It might be nice, but I haven't necessarily had that pull, except for certain places I have had a pull to go to. Just because for me, you guys, for me, I've been living my spiritual path since I was born. I was born there. You know, Benin is what used to be Dahomey, where Madrasali Frida is from and Esridanto is from. So you have, you know, all these places. But for me, I kind of been practicing since I was little. So for me, the shrines are really, the shrine that I love the most is my grandfather's. I love his temple. Your temple. I have my own temple. The temple of my mysteries. You know, I love my grandfather's temple. It's a very, very old temple. Since I was a little girl, it's in Dominican Republic. You know, then Nigeria is what used to be Yoruba land. So Benin is right above Nigeria. So there's that mixture right in the middle on the south of Benin with the Yoruba people, and that's why there was some mixture between the Orishas and the Vodun practices. So what do you mean, what do I think of African Americans? What? I'm confused. I'm confused by that question. What do I think about African Americans?
I love them.
I love them. I'm confused by that question because I am African American. So I'm confused by that question.
Because
they're nice.
Dominicans are part African. Most Dominicans.
Like most Dominicans are part African. So I was just confused by that question. Most Dominicans are part African, and they're also mixed with Arawakan blood. And in my case, the Arawakan blood and the African blood was mixed with European because my grandmother and my grandfather got married. So
we love everybody.
So yeah, I was confused. Snakes in the 21 division represent both demons and healing. So it depends on what type of snake you're talking about. What type of snake shows up. The color is significant, and the color has significance. How do I see African spirituality in the next 100 years? I hope that African spirituality in the next 100 years doesn't get watered down even more than it already has been. I think that it's our responsibility to make sure that it doesn't get watered down by laziness, because I think the reason why a lot of African spirituality gets watered down is because people are lazy. People are spiritually lazy. We as humans are spiritually lazy. We want everything to be faster, better, stronger. But we don't realize that true strength comes from hard work. Okay? So true spiritual elevation comes from hard work, and that's what I love about African spirituality and indigenous practices, is that they are based on the fact that we have to put work in, we have to put in an effort and to get a return. You have to ask, actually, Kiki, to figure out what type of path that you need to walk. You need to ask your spirit guides. You need to ask them to show you the way. So usually the green snakes usually are Santa Mata la Dominadora. Usually black snakes, if a snake hurts you, it's usually letting you know that there's somebody deceitful around you, someone who you shouldn't trust. So yes, there is animal spirit symbolism in the 21 division that comes from our Arawakan path of our tradition. That comes from the Taino aspect, the Arawakan aspect of our tradition. Animals have different symbolisms in that path. So birds have different symbolisms, snakes have different symbolisms. So if a snake hurts you in your dream, then it's your spirit guides letting you know that there is somebody deceitful around you. If a snake doesn't hurt you, if you don't feel fear of it, if it's particular color like green or pink, it's usually a spirit guide letting you know that there's something you need to heal or
Yellow and white.
Yeah. Am I scared of how others view me in my practice?
What?
I never really was until very recently. I'm not really, I don't want to say I'm scared. I'm offended, actually. I'm offended about the lack of knowledge and the ignorance that there is when it comes to our practices. Okay? So I'm not really scared about what people think of me because of my practice or how people perceive my practice, but I am offended sometimes because there's a lot of ignorance and a lot of ego out there.
Misrepresenting of the spirit.
And yes, a misrepresenting of the spirits. And now my ancestors had to be scared because they literally had people persecuting them and, you know, setting them on fire. And God forbid, you know, and lynching them. So my ancestors, you know, had to be very afraid. And the reason why there are so many broken lineages, aside from people just being lazy and not wanting to learn or not caring to learn when their grandmother was trying to teach them, is because of persecution. It's because, for example, in Dominican Republic, if anybody found out you practice this practice, you could lose your life. So it's important to have a lot of, to open your mind and to realize that the world is bigger than what you think it is. Okay? And realize that magic has many, many colors. Many, many colors. Magic has white, black, red, yellow, green, purple, depending on what type of magic you are doing. Okay. All right, my loves. I do have to go. I took a long break to talk to you. I have to get back to work. So I do have to get back to work. And get back to some candle workings that I'm doing and get back to making some powders that I have to make. So many, many, many blessings. And I hope you have a beautiful day. I think Fehu actually just got off my live. Someone asked a question about runes.
What about it?
What did you, she asked, I noticed your name is for the first time. I just started learning and divining with them. Any advice?
Don't read books.
Don't read books.
Ask your spirit guides.
Ask your spirit guides.
Go outside.
She said go outside.
Go outside and throw them. And see what
she's
messages
saying
you get from your spirit.
If you are, for the one who asked the question about the runes, you need to go outside. Odin told her that in order to learn the runes, you have to actually sacrifice time and energy and ask your spirit guides. So I would suggest going outside to the trees and throwing them and meditating on them. And that is her advice. All right? So, many, many, many blessings. I hope you have a beautiful day.